The performing arts, the entertainment industry, show business. Whatever you choose to call it, to me, it seems like a rather strange way to spend a finite amount of time that we call life. I mean, think about it. All the stress and nerves and anxiety of trying to get that dream role or job. An artist will hear the word no so many more times than the word yes. Sometimes it really takes its toll on your emotional, mental, and physical health. But so many of us want to do this. Many of us already are, and I need to know why. Hi, I'm Amy Coots, and I'm an actor, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Acting with Courage Hypnotherapy. And in this series, I will be interviewing some fantastic actors, writers, directors, producers, anyone involved in the creative arts. And I will be asking them how and why they got into their respective careers and the advice that they offer to other creatives to look after their mental health and well-being. Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I am very excited to be joined by today's guest. Joining me all the way from New York, the lovely Valorie Hubbard. With an acting career spanning 30 years, some of Valerie's credits include How I Met Your Mother, the Hannah Montana movie, True Blood, Resident Evil Extinction, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., American Horror Story, the list goes on. Valorie is also founder of Actors Fast Track, which we will talk about in just a few minutes. And she's also the author of this here book, Rule Breakers, which I believe is a must read for actors committed to developing their acting business. How are you, Valorie?
I am very good. Thanks for asking.
The big question I have to ask you here, of all the things you could have chosen to do with your life, why did you choose acting?
Well, acting was sort of really chosen for me because when I was 3 years old, I was very dramatic. My mom used to say that I threw these temper tantrums that were really super dramatic. And I threw a temper tantrum where I threw myself literally down the basement stairs. I was a toddler. And my mother thought I was dead, so she sent my dad to the bottom of the stairs and I was sitting there laughing. And so the next day they enrolled me in creative dramatics. Basically, I'm one of those kids that always knew what I wanted to do. I, of course, thought about also being a hairdresser for a hot minute when I was little, but mostly, and I'm really good at doing my hair, P.S. But I went to acting school right out of high school, right when I was 18. I went to conservatory. It's all I wanted to do. When I was 17, my mom took me. I was way involved in children's theater and then high school theater. And then when I was 17, my mom took me to audition for all the schools in the United States.
Wow.
And that's such a great memory that I have of my mother. We went to Chicago and it was freezing, but there's a thing called the theater leagues. So a lot of the big acting schools in the United States go to one location every year to audition people.
Right.
And so we went to the Palmer House, which is a really super luxe hotel in Chicago. And my mom and I stayed in the Palmer House and I auditioned for all the schools. And then NYU at the time wasn't in the league. So then we flew to New York and it was still, for many years, it was the record-breaking day for how cold it was with the day that I auditioned for NYU Tisch. And I remember my mom and I ran from store to store just like to keep warm, and then we went and auditioned. And so I ended up going to what was then called the Goodman School of Drama in Chicago.
Great.
It came down to that and NYU, and I chose the Goodman. It's now called the Theater School at DePaul University, and that's where I went. I went to a 4-year conservatory, and then right out of school, I came right to New York, where I spent almost 20 years, and then I spent 16 years in LA, and I just recently returned to New York just 2 months ago.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
So you really almost from birth, you just felt you were destined to be
Yes.
It's so amazing that from a very dramatic fall down the stairs, your parents have like channeled that into what would become quite a prosperous career, which is kind of amazing.
But you know what's interesting though is one time I asked my mom, I said, just a few years ago, we were watching some show and there was a question on the show to a parent, what are you the most proud of me accomplishing? The child asked the parent as an adult.
Yeah.
And so I turned to my mom and I said, what are you most proud of me accomplishing? And she goes, the fact that you always wanted to be an actress and you're still an actress.
Oh, I mean, especially when there's so many parents that would really discourage, you know, the kids. I mean, I've been very lucky too. I just have my parents here in the UK watching me do a show here in Brighton. So it's good when you can get that support, because it is a hard industry. And when you don't have that family support, you know, it's really, really hard. I want to turn now to this wonderful business that you've set up, because it's quite possible that some of the viewers who are watching this don't know too much about Actors Fast Track. So could you tell us why you set up the company and what is the work that you do with actors through this company?
Okay, great. So that's a huge question too. This is actually my second business in this way. So just like pretty much every acting school, at least I know in America, no one ever told me. They might have, I think we had a business of acting class, but it was basically how to audition and how to get a good headshot and how to get an agent. And I was told in acting school, if you want to be a working actor, the way you do that is you get an agent. So I grew up with a father that was an entrepreneur and a very successful entrepreneur. And so when I got to New York at the age of 22, I got the agent because I went to the big acting school, and I was sitting around and it just felt like there had to be something else. But, you know, every time I would go to my agent, he would say, well, you know, if I said I want to be seen for this, he would say, you don't have the name. Or I heard things like, you just sit there and let me do my job, you do your job, which I assume that meant for me to go to acting class and keep my instrument warmed up and ready to go when I got the auditions. But it felt like there was something else. I always say that what led me to Actors Fast Track were 5 light bulbs that went off. So the very first light bulb that went off for me was I had only been in New York for about 4 years, and they were doing a production of The Crucible at the Roundabout, and Arthur Miller was going to be involved, and it was like a big deal, right? And I knew that I was Mercy Lewis. So I went to my agent and I said, I want to be seen as Mercy Lewis. And he said, again, you don't have the name. So I took my headshot and resume. I went to the casting office. I asked them for an audition. I got the audition and I got the job. And so for me, that was the very first light bulb, because no one had told me that I could do that as an actor. And so I realized that I didn't need an agent to get a job in that moment. And maybe if it worked once, it would work again. What ended up happening was I ended up meeting, there was a company in the 80s in New York called Actors Information Project. And it was a place where you could actually take a real business class. And I met a man by the name of Jay Perry, and he taught me that I was an entrepreneur. And that an entrepreneur, in order to succeed as an actor, needed to make weekly sales calls, right? You see, the reason that parents don't want people to be actors is because because as actors, we're sold a bill of goods. We're told that we just sit there and look pretty, we get an agent does the job. But if you run any business in the world, it's like the most backwards thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Right? Like as a business owner, the most important thing is to capture the cash, which means that you have to sell on a regular basis. You see, we're told as actors we can't make a living as an actor. It's the hardest thing we can do. We don't have any control. We're a freelancer. Those are things that we're told. And what I've proved wrong is that that's actually false information. So what happens is, because an actor hears that all the time and their parents hear that all the time, they always have a backup plan. So if you say to an actor, what do you do to make money? Like if they need to pay their rent tomorrow,
Mhm.
they're not going to think of going and looking for an acting job. They're going to go wait a table, or they're going to go do data processing or something like that to pay the bills.
Mhm.
So what I realized was that if I focused an actor on doing 5 minimum sales calls a week and building their business like a business and turning them into the CEO of their own company, that they would be successful. And now, 2 companies and 7 years into Actors Fast Track, I have a ton of evidence that what I'm saying is true.
That's
I
fabulous.
have series regulars, movie stars, all kinds of people that I've helped get there by doing my system. And my system consists of building a comprehensive business plan and helping the actor achieve that business plan. My first business was called Strategies. It was in the 90s. I had a partner named Leah Brandenburg, and she was phenomenal. But I hadn't had that last sort of light bulb go off. And for me, the last light bulb in the 5 light bulbs was I was at an entrepreneur conference 2 years after I started Actors Fast Track 7 years ago. It was 5 years ago, I was at an entrepreneur conference, and there was 1,000 entrepreneur business owners there, and I was the only, acting business there.
Sure.
And the woman stood on stage and she said, I got up to the mic and there was 1,000 people, and she said, so what do you do? And I said, well, I teach actors the business of acting. And she said, well, what's their problem? And I said, well, they think they need an agent in order to get a career. And they waste a lot of time doing things that don't capture I didn't say cash. I didn't say anything about money.
Right.
But I was talking about, at that time, what I thought our problems were, why we weren't working. And she said to me, well, where's all the money in that? Don't actors want to make money? And I'm thinking, I'm thinking, lady, you don't know actors. Actors would work for free. And then, ding, the light bulb went off, and I went, oh my God, that's the problem. Actors don't think of it as the way to make money.
Yeah.
They do it because they love to do it, and they would do it for free, and their creative hobby. But if I can turn it into a business, I can change the way actors do business. And the thing is, the whole business is changing anyway. It's like changing rapidly. If you don't know, the WGA has completely rewritten the way writers do business. In America, all the writers fired their agents.
Yes, I saw that.
Right. So now the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, is rewriting the way writers do business.
Wow.
And so I do believe that will happen for actors as well.
Yes.
So what is the new way of business going to be? And if I have anything to do with it, I would like to have something to do with it. But that is my goal, is to change the way actors do business.
And that is so very exciting for me. It's very interesting. Everything you said, I go, yep, I know that to be true. Even the other day, asking for payment for a show that I just did, it took a moment for me to muster up. And I went, no, but actually, I've done months of work on this, put my heart and soul into it. We've gotten great reviews. It's a job. I did a job, and I should be able to say, okay, yeah, this is the payment we agreed on. And, and my producer obviously had no problem with it, but you do kind of regress into that actor mode of going, oh no, but it's for the love of it. You go, well, no, I have bills to pay. I've got food to buy. It's just silly. And it's me giving, the product of my years of training and effort and work to do this project, and to make them look good as well. It's offering a service. And I remember, for anyone watching, I met Valorie in London at an event a few months ago, and just hearing you talk and your top 10 mistakes for actors that you send in an email, my heart just sang, because it was like, yes, this is the stuff that actors need to be reminded of the things that they're doing wrong, but they can fix, and realizing that you have a lot more power than you think, and realizing that it is it is a business that has to be nurtured and worked on. And certainly that's certainly something I'm still coming to grips with. But
so we recently had lunch with a director who signed with CAA and had several films at Sundance. And one of the things we asked him is, what would you think if one of our actors pitched you via Instagram? And he said, oh, I would love that.
Wow.
And in that moment, I realized something. The only people that know the rules of our business are agents, managers, and casting directors. And it's in their best interest that they keep us. We're like the abused wife in the corner. It's like it's in their best interest that we don't understand that producers, directors, and writers don't know those rules. They do not know about Spotlight or about Actors Access or whatever the way of doing business is in Australia, or whoever is listening to this wherever. I know in the UK it's Spotlight, and I know in America it's Actors Access. It's all the same stuff.
Sure.
But it's in their best interest that we do not go beyond them, because if we go beyond them, they won't be needed anymore. So their fear is, what they tell us is, well, we have to have a way of regimenting the actors getting to the producers. But yet I've been working with actors for 30 years, and and the truth is that the same amount of actors that go beyond the casting directors and managers and agents right now are the same that are going to go beyond them when we don't have those people. First of all, as an actor, no one ever told me I am an entrepreneur. Not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. And unfortunately, if you are an artist, you must be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
If you really want to have a successful career as an actor, you have to understand that you're the CEO of your own company, which means that you're going to have to get brave really quick.
Yeah.
And even though you think, well, I can't do that, I can't sell, I can't do that. Yes, you can. I mean, I have watched countless people go from I can't do that to starring in their own series.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
It's just a matter of with anything, if you've never done it before, the first few times are terrifying.
Sure.
And then you get past that, and then you go, what was I so scared of? I don't even know. But it's in their best interest that we don't understand that, because then they can keep us down on the farm, keep us from succeeding. Because if we go beyond them, we don't need them anymore.
The question I was going to ask you, you sort of partially answered this anyway, but I think you may have, when I noticed in London, you may have gotten this as a question, I don't remember, and I think this probably comes up a lot, I'd say, from actors in the States. I don't know about other actors you work with in the world, but what do you say, you must get actors who say, oh, but casting directors are really strict about dealing with actors represented by an agent. They don't accept unsolicited emails. How does an actor deal with that pushback? Do you have what are the strategies you would recommend for that? I
would say that, first of all, only when they don't. They'll say that until they need someone, and then you call and you are the person. If you're really right for a project and the casting director is saying, well, I don't want to see you if you don't have an agent, you need to go to the director, the writer, or the producer of the project. Skip the casting director. The more casting directors shut their door to the people that are actually the reason that they're in business. Because the reason that agents have a job, the reason that managers have a job, the reason that casting directors have a job is actors. That's it. That's the reason they have a job. Yeah. If we did not exist, they would not have a job. So the more they close their doors to us, right, and say, no, this is the way you do it, and the more we skip, then their jobs will become unnecessary. Right? So what I say is, again, these directors and producers and writers don't know what the rules of the business are. And I will tell you that, I've had people pitch to David Heyman, to Tim Burton, to Kathy Bates, to, major producers and directors and writers, and get auditions and not get any flack at all. it's the little people that are giving the most flack. Just like any telemarketer, pay attention to when a telemarketer calls you and you keep listening. Why? Why do you keep listening? Now a telemarketer gets hung up on all the time, but they don't stop doing their job.
No, that's true. You're right.
Right? And so, yes, will some casting directors say that's not okay and you're not supposed to do that? Absolutely. That should not stop you from continuing to do it. You know, I actually have a story that I have, a very famous story. It's called The Cookie Story. I've had it animated and everything. Many, many years ago, 25 years ago, I was doing a show in New York, and it was about the sex worker industry. I was the madam, of course. And my best friend and I decided that we were going to bake little heart-shaped cookies and take them to different casting offices and invite them to come see our show.
Great.
So we set out and we had a phenomenal day. I mean, you know, the heads of ABC came out and CBS and were like, oh, Valorie, Rosie, so thank you for the cookies. And it's really not about whether they come see their show. It's about you getting in front of them, right?
Sure.
But anyway, we were just like on cloud nine. You know, we were so excited. We were having a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day in the city. And towards the end of the day, we went to this casting office and we walked in, and there were 3 little assistants sitting there, and we gave them our cookies, and they told us that the main casting director was in a session. And we said, okay, well, here's the cookies. They're like, thank you. And so we leave and we're in the hall, and all of a sudden here comes the main casting director with our cookies. And she started screaming at us. She started saying, like, you know, like obscenities, like, who the hell do you think you are? You'll never work in this town. What stupid actors you are, that kind of thing, right? So she gave us our cookies back, and she went back into the office and slammed the door. And the minute the door slammed, because I was with my best friend, we burst out laughing because it was really ridiculous. I mean, like, the first thing is, like, what I realized in that moment is if I had not been with my best friend, that I could have very much given up acting in that moment, because that's how cool she was. Like, and I definitely would have never done anything like that again, because in that moment, she made me feel like a total ass, that I should never do anything like that. Well, there's a bigger moral to the story. One of those little assistants that were sitting in that room is now, years later, a way more powerful casting director and producer than she ever was.
Wow.
And he, to date, has cast me in 5 films because of what happened in that moment. He told himself that he would never conduct his business in that way, and he would never treat an actor that way. And now he's cast me in 5 films. One of them was a direct offer. And in front of Adrian Grenier and Selma Blair, he told the cookie story.
Wow.
Yeah. And he said, you know, this woman actually affected the way that I do business today. You know, things can change and do change, but if we as actors don't take action, we'll just allow ourselves to keep being, you know, the abused wife.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. It's like, for the one person you can't make a film or TV show or commercial or do a play without, there's only one person you can't do that without. That's an actor.
Yeah.
And for that, for us being that one person, it's so ironic to me that we are the low man on the totem pole.
Yeah.
That somehow we got locked in the trunk of the car, and yet the car can't run without us.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting about that? I was having a conversation with a lovely gentleman who works in the industry, who's based here in Brighton. And he said that very same thing. What you kind of just said is sort of we're bottom of the food chain. He said, I never quite understand this sort of not paying people and sort of putting up walls against actors who want to give it a go and they're so passionate. He goes, you guys are the prize. You're the prize. And I went, wow. I'm the prize. You know, it was so interesting the way he phrased that. He was just baffled. He said, you're the prize, yet, you know, you subscribe to these. Oh, by the way, Showcast is probably the major casting portal equivalent to Spotlight in Australia, just so you know.
Got it. Thank you.
But yeah, but my point on that is you pay for these subscriptions to even get auditions. And he was just sort of like, that's such a strange system that is in place. And then often, you know, for very little outcome, you know, I mean, you click on publications that have, audition for Stranger Things or whatever it might be. And then you have a look, the casting director, and it says no unsolicited emails or whatever. And it's clickbait essentially that you're paying for. And there's something really, really wrong about that. But it was just so nice of him to say, you're the prize, yet you just seem to have all these hurdles to have to jump over to do the thing that you're trained to do. And he said, that's just madness to me. And
It is.
that's very much
And
what
if
you're trying to say.
talk to any other entrepreneur, business owner, CEO of any other business in the world, and you try to explain to them how our business is run and what our position is, they look at you like you have three heads. They do. And the fact that we are waiting to sell ourselves until we have a salesman, an agent, or a manager makes no sense. But yet you own the restaurant. You know, it would be like a restaurant owner saying, well, I have to have a manager of my restaurant before I can open it. If you're in New York and you have a restaurant, I know what kind of, you know, money you're paying for that rent. You better start selling food like that as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're out there washing dishes, taking orders, cooking it, you know, whatever, you know, and in the beginning as actors, we're doing all of those things in our business. We're doing everything. And then we get to a point where, you know, we can hire a publicist, or we can have an agent or a manager, you know, or we can have an assistant. But in the beginning, we do all of that, and you have to do that. But actors are sitting around waiting till they have an agent or a manager, which makes no sense to me.
You know I wasted a lot of time thinking that I needed to wait for them to do so much more for me. I mean, obviously I was pursuing like probably unpaid projects in theater just to kind of keep the wheel well oiled, I suppose. But yeah, still I just felt like, I didn't have any power to do anything, and I'd get my agent upset, or I'd upset cast. I was so worried about upsetting people. And I hope that anyone who's watching today, particularly someone fresh out of drama school or in their early 20s, really takes control of that early on, because I know that I myself and a lot of other people I know, you know, have wasted time because we just didn't think we had that power. And then we have people like you going, actually, no, let's do it a different way. You know, let's really understand that. And if you think of it like a business, what I really love is when you were talking about know who your customers are, I believe, producers, writers, directors, know who your customers are. And that was such a light bulb moment for me, going, yeah, right. You know, who am I selling to, and what is the actual product I'm selling? Because I believe you do a lot of work on branding as well.
Oh yeah. So every actor that we work with has a business plan. That, like, there's no actor that's ever worked with us that doesn't have one. And that business plan consists of, what are you selling? So we do a whole branding series, and they walk away with like a marketing document, a way to pitch themselves. And then who are you selling to? So who are the customers? And so our customers as actors are executive producers, directors, writers, and yes, casting directors. But really, we're more focused on like the producers and the writers and the directors, but we also include casting directors in that.
Sure.
Who are we selling to? And then a sales plan. And so just like, you know, actors, I always joke, are going to climb Mount Everest without a Sherpa and without air. And I'm like, you're going to die. And so, you know, we are the Sherpa and the air. We know a way, but we know a million ways. And so sometimes we get halfway up the mountain and there's a big boulder blocking the way. And so a lot of times, if that's the case in an actor's career, they just stop. And they're stopped at that boulder for sometimes ever, for a year, 2 years, 3 years, because they got this big emphatic no, or a sign that they should stop, rather than going, oh, wait, like 2 feet that way is another path.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go try that. So, you know, I always ask an actor before they hire us, you know, I say, well, look, have you ever had a successful acting career? No. Okay, so then what you're telling me is that you're in the middle of a forest that you've never been in, and you're blindfolded, but you're fine. You've got this, right? And yet I have a ton of guides that have all been through the forest backwards and forwards a million times. We have 9, including myself, there's 10 actors, fast track coaches.
Great.
And everyone that works for me is a working actor. And we have clients all over the world. We've had clients in Australia. We don't currently have anyone in Australia. We have about 6 right now in the UK. We have a couple in Colombia. We have a few in Mexico. We have one in Spain, one in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is America, even though our president doesn't know that. But and then of course we have tons of clients in America as well, and all over America, because right now we're living in a global world, and everything is on tape. So I mean, I have a girl in the UK that pitched herself for a movie in California after having one session with me, and she booked it.
Oh my goodness, that's fabulous.
On the phone. She pitched herself on the phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It was that the far-reaching power of your, you know, your business is fabulous, you know. That's so great. We are living in pretty fortunate times with the technology that we have.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. So anyone watching who might be as far as the Southern Hemisphere, you know, you can do coaching with Valorie and her team. It is entirely possible, which is great.
Yeah, we meet right on Zoom, and we're used to now working with all different time restraints, and
yes,
you know, because we work with clients all over. So we're used to that.
So Valorie, as you may know, I am an actor and also a hypnotherapist, and I mean, I do get very concerned about the mental health and well-being of people, you know, who are struggling in their careers or trying to get through or have audition nerves or anxiety. Certainly my problem used to be I'd get so crippled with auditions, and I've worked through pushing through that. So that's a big area of focus for me. So when facing setbacks, long stretches, you know, without a break or work opportunities, it can be really draining for people. So can you provide some of your top mental health tips, or even your regime that you use to keep mentally fit and going forward?
So we do a lot of this work with our clients. One of the things that we do is Miracle Morning. It's a book by Hal Elrod.
Cool.
And my goal is by next year to write Miracle Morning for actors.
Wow.
But I myself do Miracle Morning. So I get up between 4:30 and 5 every morning. I meditate. And then meditation has changed my life.
Same with me. Yes.
Yeah, meditation has changed my life. I journal. Along with journaling, I do a gratitude list, and then I write down 10 dreams that I'm going to accomplish in the next 10 years, and I write them as if they are in existence.
Fabulous.
I release whatever I have going on that day, and I receive what I would like to receive that day. And then I also lay out 2 to 3 action steps for myself for that day that I will do. And then after I do the meditating and the journaling, then I work out. So that is something that a lot of my clients are doing, one or more of those pieces or all of those pieces. And then also we constantly are recommending books other than acting books. So
yeah, great.
We love right now, we talk a lot about money because, you know, we're getting actors come from this poor starving artist mentality. So we're changing that. So lately we've been into Jen Sincero's books.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She writes, I'm a badass and I'm a badass at making money.
Yeah.
So a lot of my clients are reading those books. We also have recommended Napoleon Hill. We've recommended Rachel Hollis, Girl, Wash Your Face.
Oh, okay.
So we do a lot of that. We also like Abraham Hicks and The Power of Attraction. And we talk a lot about that kind of stuff. We like this guy named Jake Ducey. Jake Ducey is out of Hawaii, and he is big into manifestation. And so we talk a lot about that. We definitely every year work with our clients to set their year goals. And we check into those goals throughout the year. We recommend things like, well, like mine is I have a goal sheet, and I print out all my goals for the year like they already have happened. And I also have a check here that's written out for myself for $1 million.
Well, it worked for Jim Carrey. Yes.
Yeah. So we do a lot of that work. You know, so those are things I have to say, you know, eating healthy is also very important.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, and so we do a lot of that. But the thing that's really probably helped me the most is my meditation. And I think what's really important is that everyone that works for me is a working actor. And one of the things is we constantly share our disappointments and our struggles as much as we sell our successes. So every Friday, we all post on our Facebook group what our wins are for the week. But we also take plenty of time to talk about, you know, what's not working. And we also work with a coach by the name of James Howlett, who went to Yale Drama School.
Yes, I've watched some of your webinars with James. Yeah, I highly recommend them. They're really good.
James has worked with a dream shaman for 6 years.
Wow.
So like he's really good with helping you adjust what's going on inside. And he recently helped one of our clients, and she realized this lie that she had been carrying around her entire life. And by working with James, you know, she was able to remove that. And it was a huge, like one of those huge blocks in the middle of her way.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because in my work, so I'm a rapid transformational therapist who the method was created by Marissa Peer, who's Britain's top hypnotherapist. And that's very much what we get to the root of in the subconscious, is the beliefs that people hold. And then we work to reprogram them. And it's just phenomenal when people go, oh my God, I can't believe I was carrying that thought for so long. And I'd never thought to challenge that thought or to question whether it's really true or not. So I totally support that work, because that's what I'm about as well. And that's what our method teaches too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because that, you know, it's so funny when you realize like this story. So I just relocated to New York, and, you know, I've done that twice already in my life. This is the third time. And, you know, the first time I went to New York, and then when I moved to LA when I was 41, I was told that I made a big mistake. I used all my money to move there. And so it felt like I was fighting an uphill battle, and I made it through, and then booked all those amazing credits that you just told everyone about. And so here I am again. It's funny, like the stories are already coming.
Right.
Well, everyone I know that has as many credits as you that's recently moved to New York, they're not getting any auditions.
Right.
Like that was like, and I'm like, okay, so now I've done this. This is my third time. And so now I can go, wow, that story will not be the story that I'm buying into.
Fabulous.
Because it's just a story. I mean, I think a lot of us have had that experience where you hear yourself going down that rabbit hole of the story you always tell yourself, like I can never get control of my food, or I never have enough money, or whatever is the story. And then once you solve that, sometimes you still want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yes.
It's a familiar story. And so you'll hear yourself saying, well, I never have any money. And you're like, well, that's actually not true. That's a story.
Exactly. Yeah. That changing the language and changing the thing, like those absolutes, I never, you always, you go, well, it's not always, and it's not never, it's sometimes and occasionally, but I had money once, it'll come back around again. And, you know, you'll find a way for it to come up if you just kind of put it out there, you know. Yeah, for sure. It's very easy for it to creep back in again, but you've just got to push it away. Yeah. Oh, Valerie, this is so exciting. Well, we're almost due to wrap up, but there was one more thing I was going to ask you about. So you hold live events as well for actors, not just coaching in person and around the world, and obviously your phenomenal acting career as well. One of those events is called Mind Games, and you run those in a few different places. Can you tell me what those events entail?
Sure. So my events are structured throughout the year. So we always start the year with our mind games, because where I teach the top 10 mindset shifts for the working actor.
Right.
The reason I start with that event every year is because I have to get the actor out of their own way to, actors immediately want to go to brand and to what am I selling and to get an agent. That's the first place they want to go. But if they don't have the correct mindset happening, then it's just like, trying to climb a mountain with a broken leg. It doesn't make any sense. So I always start my year with the mind games. And then in the summer, we move into the summer games where we do branding and they get to actually pitch themselves to working actors, to working agents and stuff like that. And then in the fall, we always do our 3-day event, which is where it's the only 3-day event in the world for actors. It's if you're familiar with, any other industry like entrepreneurs, network marketers, they all do 3- and 4-day events where you can go and work on your company or work on yourself for 3 days. And so I wanted to do that. 5 years ago, I started doing 3-day events for actors as well. Yeah. And that is always in the fall. And so that's like 3 days, and that's so much fun because we put actors together for 3 days, like from 9 to 9 each day, taking them through our system and really, and that's my favorite. Well, I love the mind games too. I love putting actors in a room for 3 days together. It's so much fun. So that's the trajectory of my events that we do every year. We'd start the year in 2020. We'll start with the mind games in London.
Super.
Yeah. So
London actors, if you're watching, I'll be updating you with information about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You will let them know, but that's it. We do most of them right now in America, but we're starting to move into the UK because we have so many clients there.
Fab.
And I'm also, considering New Zealand and Australia because we're planning a vacation there, and so I have had clients there, and so I'd like to do that as well. But we always do a lot of events online as well. We do a monthly webinar. Every month we do a webinar, and every Tuesday night I do live at 5. I don't know what it's 5 p.m. Pacific time. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know what time UK is, but I have a lot of
it's about 10 p.m. here.
10 p.m. UK time. So I have a lot of people hopping on every Tuesday night, and I'm there without fail every Tuesday night on Instagram Live and on Facebook Live. And I take questions and we talk about different things. So we're constantly putting ourselves out there so people know who we are and can get the questions answered, whether they're working with us or not.
Great. Well, Valorie, I could talk to you for hours. You're so refreshing. You're such a bowl of positive energy, and I love that. So thank you very much for all the work you're doing. And actors who are watching, again, I encourage you to read this book, Valerie's fantastic book, Rule Breakers, which you can also purchase on Amazon. You can find tons of useful information on her website. You can find blog posts, testimonials from people who've worked with Valorie, information about packages and tickets to live events. And that is at actorsfasttrack, which is all one word, .com, but I'll be putting the links up as well. And as Valorie said, you can find her on Facebook and across the various social media platforms. And yeah, I'll make sure I'll put the links up to that. So thanks so much, Valorie, and keep doing your wonderful work.
Thank you so much for watching this. And if you'd like to see more videos in this series, please remember to subscribe to Why This.